What is up, fellow roaders? Today we're going to kumbaya through a top 5 list because today we are talking about the top 5 co-op games that I think you should be playing. Now, just so we're clear, on our top 5 co-op games, we're talking about games that are 100% cooperative. So, games where you might start out cooperating, but there might be some kind of betrayer element, or there's this hidden identity where someone turns out to be playing against the other players, or games where you might be on teams, but you're playing against another team are disqualified. So we'll take that out. Betrayal at House on the Hill, great game, but it has a betrayer element. So now I am going in an order here. This is my top 5 games in order of 5 to my number 1. And in 5th place goes to Forbidden Island. Forbidden Island makes the top 5 list because I believe this is a great gateway game into cooperative gaming. This is a good game to play with people who have never played a cooperative game before. It's one of the more simple games that you can play, as there's very few actions you have to memorize, and understanding the goal and how to interact with the board is very easy. What you're doing is you're all adventurers on an island. You're looking for treasure on this island before it sinks into the ocean. So once you find all 4 treasures, you make it back to the helicopter pad and you win the game. Very easy to learn, and I think it's also one that can get kids into gaming as well. My number 4 for cooperative games is Zombicide. Particularly just Zombicide, the series in general. I've never played Black Plague before, but I do know that it is the best Zombicide as far as game mechanics go, so we can go ahead and say Zombicide Black Plague. But I would suggest that if you just add in a few house rules that come from Black Plague into the other seasons of Zombicide, even Season 1, that you're going to have a lot of enjoyment out of Zombicide. It doesn't get higher on the list because it still has a few flaws in that manner, and it's also really an adults-only game, so really not family-friendly, maybe older teenagers, but definitely not young kids. So that is Zombicide series, or Zombicide Black Plague. Number 3 cooperative game is also more of an adults-only game, and it is Eldritch Horror. So Eldritch Horror is based on the original Arkham Horror. It's more of a streamlined game, takes less mathematics and takes a few things that are a little clunky in Arkham Horror and smooths them out or gets rid of them all in general. But in Eldritch Horror, you are fighting one of the Elder Gods that's in the classic Lovecraftian mythos, and you are taking control of adventurers and you're globetrotting around a map of the world, trying to close off gates that are spilling in monsters from alternate dimensions, trying to find clues as to how to defeat the Elder God, and just trying to beat back the enemies that pour through the gate. You want to do this before the Elder God awakens, because if the Elder God does awaken, then you have a whole new set of objectives you have to accomplish that will be tougher, but hopefully you'll have more items at your disposal to help you battle this Elder God. And in the end, you do actually have to fight the Elder God and destroy it. Just like in other Lovecraftian games, you've got 2 main stats, your sanity and your health. And if you go insane or lose all your health, then your character can die or simply go insane through many different means. So that is Eldritch Horror. Number 2 on my list is a game I've got right here, and it is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. So, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle makes the top second place on my list because number one, it's a very, very good, solid game. It's one of the only games right now that is in the Harry Potter IP that's actually good, and this game is separated into the 7 books of the series, so it has a great amount of replay value. You can start off on book 1 that only incorporates a few cards into the game and is very easy. If you know how to play games, I recommend just go ahead and skipping over to book 2 or 3, where things get a little bit tougher, and then as the books progress, they add in characters and items and spells that appear in those later series. Also, the characters of Ron, Hermione, and Harry and Neville grow up with the books, so they learn more abilities and become more powerful too, but you have to face a whole lot more enemies who are also more powerful. The game's beautifully designed, the artwork comes straight from the movies, and it just has a very good flow and co-op element to it. So that's why Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is number 2 on my list, also because my wife really enjoys playing this. So that's our second one. And our number 1, and you may have already guessed this, it's used to contain the number 1 slot on Board Game Geek and was dethroned by Gloomhaven, which is another co-op game. I haven't played it, which is why it's not on my list, but Pandemic Legacy Season 1. So Season 1 takes number 1 on my list because not only is it just an amazing game based on the IP of the original Pandemic board game, which is in itself amazing and still in the top 100, but it's also got this legacy aspect to it that makes it so much more immersive, gives it this arcing storyline, and is still, I would say, family friendly to an extent, especially if your kids are at least maybe 8-10 years or older. As long as they're playing from the very beginning and understand the base rules, then I see no reason why they wouldn't understand the new rules that get added to it as you open boxes and envelopes and little pockets in this game to add new rules and new materials to it. I love legacy games, and the reason this one beat out all the other pandemics is simply because I think this is one of the most well put together ones. I do want to give some honorable mentions to some other pandemics like Iberia, the original, and even Season 2. I think Season 2 is a nice spin. This one definitely is at the top of the list as far as Pandemic goes, and I only wanted to add in one Pandemic game. Also, an honorable mention is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. So, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective didn't make the top of my list. It was actually my number 6, but it didn't make the top because I think it's going to appear in another top 5 list. But it's also less of a board game, more of this murder mystery kind of powwow with your friends and try to figure out the clues. And also it does have limited playthroughs, as once you have solved a case, you know the answers and you can't go back to it. But it's still an amazing game, and I know you're going to see this in another top 5. So those are my top 5 picks for co-op games. I hope you enjoyed this list. If some games that you love didn't appear on this list, it's probably because I haven't played them, or I just liked these more. And be sure and let me know what your top 5 are, or let me know of a game that you think should have been in the top 5. Thanks for watching the Fell Road Express. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out other board game videos that we have. Like us on Facebook and Twitter to learn news that we don't have in these videos. So definitely go and do that. Appreciate you watching this far, and see you next time.